They'll be calling you a radical. We're going to talk about the corruption and the great epic collapse of the salmon. My agenda going forward is the activist, is the avant-garde, is the environmentalist. First, you know, I'm not an avant-garde, I'm an avant-garde. Est-ce que vous parlez français? No? Est-ce que vous habitez en France? Oui, oui, 99999. You know, that is Zurich, 1916, same old thing. Berlin, 1916, same old thing. A Paris, 1916. No, how about New York, 1912? Freaking. So, it's over. The spring run's done. Now, the corruption between ODFW and, you know, I emailed both senators in Washington because Washington don't even post numbers. They don't say at least ODFW. They think about the Bonneville. I mean, the Columbia. Isn't the Columbia in Washington? How come Oregon has to do all the dirty work? At least they post corruption. Live cam on the freaking Bonneville. That's the Army Corps Engineers. So, first off, let's start with these numbers. It's over. The spring run's over. The Feather River, we'll start down south this time and go up. Feather River, 30 fish. You heard me right, 30 for the year. Klamath right now, somebody said it was 516. I know it's less than 2,000. So let's move, to the Rogue. We know that because Tim goes up there and we count. The Rogue right now, 116. For the year. Let's move up. Let's go to the Columbia. The Columbia is the healthiest by far. Now remember, their 2 years ago in 2015 to 2017, projection was 300,000. Now when you hear Wyden and these liars and say these Oregon, Wyden's such a liar, I can't believe what he's evolved into. Oh, you're stonewalling. He's been stonewalling me for years. I mean, remember he said at the committee, you went to Fukushima 4 times. He makes a statement as they file for the federal aid, you know, Merkley, Wyden from Oregon, Kamala Harris and Feinstein from California saying it's been declining for, no, that's a total lie, Because of the escapement, the money that got put into the casinos, the natives took over their own thing. We had record escapement, record numbers in 2015. These spring Chinook go to sea for 5 years. It's really important. And I'll talk about the Orcas in Puget Sound and the disgrace of the Washingtonians. They're a disgrace. You know, you hear any reports on any of those rivers up there, you don't even know the numbers there. You know, Murray and freaking, what's her name? Cantwell, I mean, they're a disgrace. You know, the state of Washington should be ashamed of themselves. This great, so the Orcas, Granny died at 105, but that's, you know, they want to talk about that. How about all the juveniles? They quit breeding. The birth rate's 0 post-Fukushima. What is their main food source? Chinook salmon. Spring Chinook kings. That's their #1 main food source by far. There aren't any. So they line up at the Bonneville, right? In the mouth of Bonneville this year, they go crazy. They feed, freaking store fat like crazy. They swim all the way down. You know, there's orcas in Monterey during the spring Chinook salmon season, freaking killing baby whales that are giving birth. Gray's giving birth in Monterey. Think about that. Sharks camped at San Onofre. So, and I'll get back to that. But, so, the Bonneville's done. Looks like they're going to come in at 106,000. For, okay, they were projected at 300,000. 2015, 257,000. This is just spring number, and it gets progressively worse last summer as it went on because it's the first batch back. You know, you can say 3-year-olds. No. We know how old these fish are. So, the Bonneville, 106,000. Well, that's good. They collapsed 50% last year, another 50% this year. Catastrophe, and that's by weight, and I don't trust their number anyway because the Army Corps Engineers are large. The Willamette, this is the big one. The Willamette cannot legally reopen until they have 22,500. This is Oregon, or excuse me, Washington and Oregon and NOAA setting these fucking limits for the fucking. They're going to come in under 22,000. It's over. They're 22,000. They're 21,300 a day. They still got to post this last number. They reopen. That's crimes. That's illegal. That just shows you the corruption. So what should they have? 75,000, 80,000. Their projection was 50,000. You know, and that's the lower projection because the trend ain't your friend no more. I mean, the trend was their friend. Let's move on up. Washington, we have no fucking idea on any of the rivers. They won't post them. I mean, WDFW are fucking derelicts. No, it's derelict. I mean, these senators up there, go Seahawks. Paul Allen's bitches on a leash. Oh, Paul Allen, Ocean Day, Ocean Day. I like how they've tried to hijack freaking Earth Day. Earth Day was started as an anti-nuclear energy movement. Now they've tried to freaking take over the whole thing. So, it's outrageous what they've done. ODFW should be ashamed of themselves. So we don't even know the numbers in Washington on all those grand rivers. We know there's a couple of the rivers that are closed permanently because toxins. Now, by the way, we had an oil spill, which is in the river that drains into the Willamette, major one yesterday. So then let's move on up. Now, of course, the run on Copper River is not over. It ends the end of July. The Kings. It's a later run. Now, the big hallowed beast. Now, 2 years ago, their projection for 2016 was 1.7 million. They came in at 800,000 right on that. By the way, I've seen them. You know, these kings, they ain't kings. They're coming in. Their sockeyes are selling $28 a pound. You know, even the girl at the fish market says those aren't kings. I says, I know. Well, I mean, that kind of money. Fraud. And if you don't believe me, fraud, the head of the Oregon fish gang got caught bootlegging. So, there's a big incentive to lie there when you're talking. I mean, they were selling for $75 a pound at the market when they fly them in. We talk to those guys constantly. This isn't just made up shit. We have boots on the ground, whatever. So the copper started off really slow. Had a couple big spike days. You know, looked like this might get strong. Caught up to last year's number. Well, the last few days it's really dropped off, which started off slow, got a little spike. I mean, I hope these numbers aren't indication what it's going to finish up, because this could get real ugly real fast. They're under last year's number. Now remember, the 2017 projected number 2 years ago was 1.3 million. Now let's go back down the drainage to the Fraser, British Columbia. Now this number, 999, oui, 999, oui, that's nuclear energy. Francis, German, 999, I mean, Austria, 9, get out. French, oui. As A.A.E.A goes bankrupt, the French government had in hand at the UN, I'll talk about that. So, they have one Stillhead. Now, Stillhead go to sea less. They go twice. You know, catastrophe right here in Idaho, completely wiped out. You know, I'm in Utah, but that's Idaho right there. So, let's talk about this. Something obviously happened. I mean, because the trend was moving like this, record escapement. Now, remember on the Bonneville mean, we have the 2006 and 2007 number because they count the 10-year mean. Those numbers were horrific. Why? Because in 2001 and 2002, they had a major problem with escapement. Major problem. None of them got, the turbines ate them all up. They had a leaky thing. You know, somebody put duct tape on it, didn't work, and the escapement upon it killed them all. They knew it was going to come. That was it. We can explain these events, you know, over gill netting, Zangray on Balco. We know. I mean, it's very quantifiable. That's why this is so important numbers, because we don't count dead whales, we don't count dead anchovies, we don't count dead. We count dead orcas, but you're in denial. I mean, what has there been? 8 died in the last year? Most of them younger. You know, Granny died at 105, but how about the younger ones? Yeah, they quit communicating. They're not giving birth. I mean, they're freaking out. They ain't got enough food. You know, starvation. Plutonium, the gas. I want my freaking award anyway. Livermore, you know, I'm the one that hypothesized this from the very beginning, day one. I said, look, this is going to create a gas. They're going to cover up. They're just going to push the fresh water onto freaking, by the hundreds of thousands of gallons a day, into the ocean, over and over. It's going to create a gas. It's going to break the aluminants. It's going to start a chain, which I call Fukushima. Livermore themselves taking waste from Fukushima, Clyde, and they got 4 new things on the bottom. They get $1.5 million for each one of them. I want the award. I am the one that come up with that originally. Scumbags, Livermore. Talk about rats out there. I.N.L. rats. I mean, this new scale scan in Oregon. Oh my God. Whoa, and you're just going to go for it. So this is an epic collapse. It's not, Wyden's a liar. He's that disconnected. Well, it's been declining. No, it hasn't been declining for years. It's been increasing. I mean, it's been one of the great stories and one of the great comebacks, you know, in this country's history environmentally. The money we dumped into it, you know, they hijacked the Mitchell Act. You know about the Mitchell Act? The Chamber of Commerce has got that dime now. You know, so by emergency closure, you know, Willamette should have been emergency closure. Where's the Endangered Species Act? Where's NOAA? They're derelicts. These are freaking concrete laws that they refuse to enforce. Retail fishing, because they want it both ways. They want to declare it disaster, the state level they have, and the feds, you know, all 4 federal senators, 2 in California, 2 in Oregon, have declared it a disaster. I'm sure the Washington ones will jump on. Alaska's been already. You know, the last thing Obama got out was declared 7 of the fisheries federal disasters. So they want federal disaster money, yet they want to keep it up and they want you to come freaking fishing. Spend your money. They don't know. They don't know. They're that ignorant. So here's the plan with my actives. I haven't been released to travel yet. I'm recovering from open heart surgery. So the doctor told me that he will release me probably towards the end of July, if everything goes right. So if he releases in the end of July, so we have the nuclear waste hearings for San Onofre, which I'm always at those. I've been going to the San Onofre hearings since 1968. So those hearings, now get this. Now I know all you San Onofres that are grandstanding now that came Johnny come lately, you're trying to raise money, not on the beach. You know my line, forever was not on the fucking beach. So I've been at this for years. You're 4 or 5 years late on this fight. You're way late. I mean, you got in this after the, and I know for a fact that the nuclear waste is headed to New Mexico as we speak. As we speak. I saw the temporary permit. You know, I deal with these guys in the backdoor issue in a big way. I deal with them all day, every day. PG&E, you know, this corruption. I've been involved up to my eyeballs. It wasn't for me, San Onofre would never be shut down. That's a fact, Jack. I'm the one that leaked all this stuff to the media. Well, the kids inside there, then to me and there. I'm the one that leaked that they had the meltdown on the 30th, January 2012 for my bone marrow transfer. These kids were leaking it because I had to fill. You know, it's just fire. It's just the operating system. It's just the will. It's just electricity. It's just YouTube. You know, the greatest, most powerful genre in human history. You know, I'm a fisherman. What's a boat? I'm a fisherman. What's a salmon? I'm a skier. What's a mountain? I'm a butcher. What's a cow? I'm a baker. What's a cake? I'm an environmentalist. What's Fukushima? So I've got to be in Italy. Now first we'll get back to Laguna. So now think about this. So the waste hearing is going to be, now why would they send the waste hearing for San Onofre in Monterey? Monterey's a long ways. By the way, I love Monterey, but the tide pools are dead. That's all my work too. I document it. Go talk to them in the marine, at the aquarium. They'll say, yeah, we used to think Blanche was crazy. They don't think I'm crazy now. They're like, whoa, you were right the whole time. 1 starfish. And I worked it all, and we waited to complete low tide. And you know, I'm the best. I mean, you ask Patrick, ask anybody goes with, I'm the best tide pool jumper you ever seen. I can dance, I can hear for those waves coming. I mean, because I've been doing it my whole life. And I walked from Mexico to San Francisco. I looked at hundreds of, millions of tide pools, literally millions. They're fucking dead. I think the California urchin, which burrows into, I think they're extinct. I really do. I mean, I found a few, you know, in enemies, but 1 bat star and all of mine, I mean, used to be just covered red with, hello, nothing to see here. It's too warm, it's too cold, it's too just right. Kind of like the weather here, we finally got just right today. I was wondering, how come the mighty Ben Lomond doesn't show up so good in my videos like it did in the early days of Fukushima? Then I realized it's been that long. Those trees have grown. Like my little grandsons were born a couple days. They're not little boys, I mean, they're not babies anymore. You know, and so I'll be there. They've moved it. Everybody threw a fit, so they moved it to Laguna. So how nice is they invented Daryl Isis? He, you know, cried, oh, the consent base won't come. They won't come, Micah Gary. Oh, they won't come. They won't come. They throw a fit. NRC says, we'll come. Consent base here, DOE, will come. They all show up. I came. I live in Utah. I always go. He didn't show up to his own here. Too far away, and he was broke. He's a billionaire that lives, what, a few miles away? I guess his Learjet had no landing strip. He tried to sneak in. This is political theater at the end. I caught him. I caught him. Allison, I went at her, McFarland, the only person ever go with it. You should have seen her run out the freaking back door and hide from me. They fear me because they know I know this dynamic and I know the corruption. They're afraid of jail. They know I know the cover-up like no other. So I'll be there, you know, and that's going to be in August. So then I've got to be in late August. I have to be in Italy, and when my daughter's getting married, you know, in Sicily. She works in Rome. But anyway, so I'll take the train to Rome to Florence, to Milan, to Austria. So Austria, Vienna, the 18th to the 22nd is the I.A.E.A's General Conference. All the rats, who's will be there. Their #1 topic is going to be the cover-up of Fukushima, by far. Now remember, I was there protesting. You know, when Arriva came with hat in hand, you know, their end of the fuel cycle conference scap. I went in. Anybody could take that public tour. Anybody. Not you. They pulled me out. They detained me. They arrested me. Threw me in the little room. You know. Then the head of security, who told me, Kevin, my wife, you know, got thyroid cancer right after Chernobyl and almost killed her. She's anti-nuclear, so am I. He protected me. So it's pretty iron. I have what we call the BLANCH BOX. Now the subway comes right there in Vienna. It drops right there, and these guys have had no resistance, so they take the subways are, you know, so clean in Europe, blah blah. They take these subways, and they have to go in that entrance. Now there's a backdoor entrance for the real rats when they're cars that come in, but most of these guys, they stay in downtown Vienna because it's so spectacular and so grand. They stay there, and they come right up there. I mean, I've seen every major freaking player there ever, including that rat freaking Bleak, you know, Kopi. You know, I talked to Kopi. He was having a cigarette. You know, so you should have seen this dynamic in this fight. So Austrian police is there. Now, you can protest in Austria without a permit as long as it's just one of you. But you get two, you got to get a permit. So, but I'm on UN property. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna protest there. So there was a major fight going between Austrian police and UN where Austrian property starts and begins because of the subway. So in Austria, they have advocates for activists. I don't even know how this guy found up. He was fantastic. He shows up. He's right there. I'm like, I don't even know how he knew. He knew. Fantastic. Brilliant guy. You know, so this whole fight's going, it was something else. Finally, the head of UN security says, I'm settling it right now. And he paced off and drew out a box. This is your box. He says, this is the Kevin Blanch Fukushima box. This is it. First one in history that's got it. And he says, as long as you stay in that box, you protest every day, all day, you know, from X hours to X hours. You know, everybody gets off work at 4:30, 5 o'clock in Austria. You know, and they go visit and whatever. They're so environmentally clean. I think it's irony that the I.A.E.A. is there when the Austrians are so environmentally conscious. I mean, that place is amazing with their recycling. They're the most anti-nuclear energy people on earth, you know. Same in Italy, same in Spain, as far as anti-nuclear. But Vienna, I mean, my God, they're so good. Their food chain's so protected. It's amazing people there. So I'll be in Austria. That conference starts the 18th of September to the 22nd. I want to be there because, look, I was there when they got permission to delabel the Fukushima waste. It's called the origin of waste. Well, of course it has to be labeled. That's international law, big time, hardcore. How did they get a variance? Because all that waste in those bags, they're shipping it over here. Now, Kevin Finnegan found this woman in Japan, and she says, in Koyomoto, I'm sure I said that wrong, under the schools they're burying the waste, and they're throwing it. Very real, very real, very real. She responded to him, you know, they're burying it all over, right under elementary schools. They're shipping it here, it's being burned. You know, and I want to say this before I go on about the resistance with a gun. I want to ask you're so caught up in presidential politics. Presidential politics is going to do you nothing. At your local level, your congressman, you know, and I misspoke yesterday when I said hippie with a gun, which, whatever the handle he's got, that's not my pick, it's his. He asked DeFazio, now DeFazio not a senator, DeFazio the representative there, he asked him about Fukushima, and very kind, very nicely. You know, he has a Japanese descendant aide. She's like, oh, that's clear over there. No, it's not. Do you know about the Japanese current, the California current? The bridge landed in Jane in 7 days. The jet stream had it here in less than 12 hours. That's a fact, Jack. It's just been cover up, crash rednet, State Secrets Act, classified, you know, so I have some friends, I said, don't go over there, you know, the Forbidden City. Don't go, don't go, don't go. You know, I've been telling them all the whole time. They got married, young couple. They went over there. Stay there. They're like, oh my God, I wish I would have listened to you, Kevin. Holy cow, all the waste is bagged up there. Now think about it, that's the only city that wasn't destroyed by Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You know, true man, that should have never happened. I'll quote Hoover, you know, to slaughter the innocent, you know, they don't have uniforms or anything, never in the history of war. This is the nuclear crime syndicate. So she says, oh my God, you can smell it. You know, the little FEMA camps are there. Of course, you're in a FEMA camp that you put yourself in, and Wells Fargo owns it. So, went off to Afghanistan to kill the Taliban. Went off to Iraq to get Dick Cheney and friends. I knew he was Santa Claus, a big old sack. Went off to Vietnam to kill the Viet Cong. He's still there. They're all gone. Went off to, how nice is, they invented Daryl ISIS. They invented ISIS. Boogeyman, boogeyman, pay the dragon slayer, woo. So you're going to get a gun and fight the United States government off. I mean, violence breeds violence. It's the most obscene, ridiculous thing. You're going to fall for the left-right dynamic and somehow a gun. Number one, they'll let you buy all the guns you want. And I'm all for the Second Amendment. I'm for all of them. You know me, the First Amendment guy. You know, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, which we don't talk about those. But how is that the answer to your problems? Because they're the ones selling you guns. They're the ones selling you the bullet. And they'll let you go to the range and do whatever, your open compensation for your small dick, whatever. But they won't let you brandish one, pull one. They're going to kill you. All it's going to do is create problems with you and emotional... I mean, so this whole gun violence thing's got to end. I mean, it's insanity. I mean, it's not the answer to anybody's problem. Because we got a saying out west, you're outgunned. You know, you're going to take a gunfight in the United States, take your freaking covered wagon to Speed Week out on the freaking Bonneville Salt Flats out here. See how well you do against us. That's, I mean, you know, you've watched too much Bonanza. It's become as natural as releasing cattle onto the Argentine landscape. That's Orwell, 1984 and 1948. Kevin Blanch. It becomes as natural as unleashing, it becomes as natural as occupying a bird refuge. I mean, what the hell? Cows are not natural, by the way. I mean, my God, so you've watched too much Bonanza, you've watched too much gun. That's all. I grew up on the biggest, my grandparents are the biggest ranchers in Idaho. Barfly. I mean, well, multi-generation, and you think, oh, get out, I was here first. You know, I'm 1/8 native. You know, so first person buried in the cemetery here in Weber County is my great-great-grandpa. First one. You know, I can write a whole book just about that with Little Soldier and Chief Cherokee, the Shoshone that were here. So, I mean, you've been hypnotized, you've been brainwashed. You can only be brainwashed. I mean, I met my grandma before she died, you know, this huge ranch up there, and she said, this whole fairy tale of the gun, blah, 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 she says, when a baby was born, these ranchers would ride all over these hands on their horse, and they'd work multiple bandanas. She'd take a bayonet and try it on the baby's crib. That's what we did. She says there was no gun violence. This whole thing, it's false. It's Hollywood. It's a freaking Italian spaghetti western on Balco. So, this is an epic collapse. These salmon go to sea for 5 years. As I size, Fukushima is going to be a gas born in the Pacific Ocean. It's going to create an ecological catastrophe. It's going to break the illuminates. It's going to break the food chain. Plankton's going to go. Then anchovies and sardines are going to go. Then salmon are going to go. Then the whales will start to go. And the sharks will start to go. Then the humans will start. The humans already are starting to go. The cancer epidemic post-2012. We have open heart surgery, which I had, given to me by the nuclear industry. We have AML leukemia treatment in your jugular.